So now we'll move on to the next chapter, which is overheads. Okay, chapter 4. So let's come to overheads. Now guys, in this chapter, first thing is, we saw yesterday, meaning of overheads. All your indirect expenses, all, that is indirect material plus indirect labor plus indirect other expenses becomes overheads. So overheads could be fixed, overheads could be variable, overheads could be semi-variable. Suppose a semi-variable overhead has been given to you. Then what do? You need to split that semi-variable overhead into its variable and fixed component. Okay, so usually what they do is, they will give you two periods, let's say 2012 and 2013. They will give you semi-variable overhead for 2012, semi-variable overhead for 2013, and they will give you the output for 2012 and 2013. So you may have to split this cost into its fixed and variable component. So how do you do it? So to segregate semi-variable expenses using the level of activity method, variable cost per unit can be first calculated. So how will you calculate variable cost per unit? Difference in total costs, which means difference in the total semi-variable overheads that have been given for 2012 and 13, divided by difference in output quantity. So this difference divided by this difference, okay, will give you your what? Variable cost per unit. Now guys, if you get the variable cost per unit, it is very easy to find out everything else. How? Because total variable cost can be calculated how? Variable cost per unit into number of units. So between 2012 and 2013, you choose whatever you want. Let's choose 2012. So you've already got variable cost per unit. Now variable cost per unit into number of units, that is this, the output, will give you your total variable cost. So now, out of my total semi-variable overhead, which I already have, I have determined what my total variable cost is. So can I not calculate fixed cost? How will I calculate fixed cost? So total cost is equal to fixed cost plus variable cost. So I have this, I have found out this. Can I not find out this? Very easy. So fixed cost can be calculated as total cost minus variable cost. So that is what I have given here. So suppose they have given you semi-variable overheads for two different periods, then you will have to calculate the variable cost per unit first, then use that to calculate the total variable cost. You can use any period. You can use 2012 or you can use 2013. And once you've obtained your total variable cost, you can easily calculate your total fixed cost. Cool. Okay, so this was one part of this. This formula is important because it not only comes in this chapter, but it also comes in other chapters. Suddenly in service costing they'll give. So you should know that semi-variable overhead has to be split in this manner. Okay, suddenly in some other chapter they will give this. So you should remember, semi-variable overheads have to be split in this manner. Okay. Now, coming to the crux of this chapter. Okay, why are we doing this chapter? What is the reason to do this chapter? Okay, why are we following all these steps? Why are they required? How are they required? All of that we're going to understand in this part. Okay, so what we essentially need to understand is, yesterday also I told you, if I am a furniture manufacturer correct? I got an order for 100 benches. Now my customer has told me, I want 100 benches. Tell me how much you will charge. I am somewhere in the middle. March. I close my books only in December. I have to give him a quote right now. Correct? So benches are made out of wood. So I know in each bench, this much wood will go. So direct material, direct labor, no tension. Because I can identify those costs on a per unit basis. So when it comes to direct material, direct labor, direct expenses, no tension. I can easily get my prime cost. I have to give him a quote, right? Quote means what? Price. That, boss, I'm manufacturing 100 benches for you. This is what I'm going to charge. So in order to charge that, I have to complete my cost sheet. So up to prime cost, no tension. The tension starts after prime cost. Because now I have to add my indirect expenses. And indirect expenses, how do I add? Because indirect expenses are, spent month on month. I'm still in March. I have no idea what my actual expenses are going to be at the end of December. So a need arises that these indirect expenses be estimated. So all your indirect expenses will be estimated. Always. They will never be actuals. They will be estimated. So now in this chapter, we are going to estimate. Okay. So now let's say we have rent, 10,000. We have power, let's say 5,000. We have, let's say, salaries, of indirect laborers, say 3,000. Now all these expenses I have estimated. I don't know. Based on past trend, I feel this much will be the expense in the whole year. I have estimated it. Now what do I do? So my organization is divided into two kinds of departments. Okay. One kind of department is the production department. One kind of department is the service department. Okay. So this process of figuring out what is my indirect expense and what is the amount associated with it is step 1, which is collection. I'm collecting all my expenses. Okay. Step 2 is classification. So suppose you need to figure out for some reason whether this is fixed, whether this is variable, whether this is factory overhead, whether this is admin overhead, then that is classification. When it comes to step 1 and step 2, we don't have to worry. We don't have to worry. Why? Because that will be given to us in the problem. In the problem, they will collect all the expenses and give it to us. That, boss, these are your indirect expenses. Now do something with them. That's something we need to do. Okay. So step 1, no tension. Step 2, no tension. Okay. Now let's assume I have 2 production departments and I have 2 service departments. Okay. So my production departments are P1 and P2 and my service departments are S1 and S2. What are service departments? Service departments are those departments which support the production departments. See, now the production department is the department where production is happening. Production department has to focus on production. They cannot do other things. But in order that the organization runs smoothly and the production department is only made to focus on production, we need other departments to support the production departments. Things like housekeeping, things like stores, things like maintenance, correct? Things like canteen. All of these are service departments. Your HR, your finance, correct? These are your service departments. So for simplicity's sake, now I assume that I have 2 production departments where production is happening. My goods are going to pass from P1 to P2 and I have 2 service departments, S1 and S2. So now the third step, I have already collected all my indirect expenses and these indirect expenses were estimated. They were not actual. I am in no position to calculate actual because I'm in the middle of my year. Actual I will know only when I close my books. So always remember, for overheads, we are only dealing with estimated amounts. Okay, so these were estimated. How? Based on some past analysis that I have made. Okay, so now this rent, power, salaries has to be divided between all my departments. So now the question arises, how do I divide? Okay, so now when I'm dividing, there are two things that I need to look at. One is called allocation. One is called apportionment. Okay, so I'll give you an example of allocation. Okay, when we look at allocation, we don't need to divide. We know that this expense belongs to this department. Okay, but in apportionment, it is not possible to figure out which expense belongs to which department. So we divide it, okay, based on some criteria. So simple example, rent was 10,000. Okay, let's say P1 was in a separate building. My department P1 was in a separate building for which the rent was 2,000, and P2, S1 and S2 were in another building for which the rent was 7,000. Now when you look at 3,000, where will you send this amount? Where will you send this? To whom will you send this? You saw this and you told me, correct? Why? Because it's very clear. P1 is in that building, only P1 is there, nobody else is there, and I am paying a rent of 3,000. So that rent of 3,000 is paid only towards P1. So I will simply put 3,000 here. I don't have to divide that 3,000. So when I look at an expense and associate that with a department without dividing it, that is called as allocation. Okay. But P2, S1 and S2, they are in the same building and the rent of that building is 7,000. Now can you tell 7,000 only belongs to P2 or S1 or S2? No. So what will you do? You will divide this 7,000 between P2, S1 and S2 on some basis. And that basis is usually the floor space or the area occupied by each of these departments. Okay. So that is called as apportionment. So when you are dividing an expense, because you can't figure out to which department it belongs to, that is called as apportionment. When you directly take the expense and charge it to the department, that is called as allocation. So step 1 was collection, correct? Step 2 was classification. Do we have to worry about collection classification? No. Step 3 was allocation. So if something is very clear, you put it there. Okay. Step 4 was apportionment. So now in apportionment, what will I do? All these expenses have to be divided between these departments in some given ratio on the basis of something. So if you come to your concepts, see here I've given you the steps for distribution of overheads, estimation and collection, classification, allocation, apportionment. See here, basis of apportionment of common cost. So I've given you rent, maintenance, insurance is usually divided on the basis of floor space, factory lighting expense, number of light points. Suppose light points is not given, then you can use floor space. Then depreciation and insurance of assets, value of assets, power of machines, horsepower. Sometimes they also use machine hours if that is given, or sometimes they also use HP into machine hours. HP into machine hours. If this is given for all departments, this will give a more accurate measure. Okay. Indirect wages divided on the basis of direct wages. If you see on the left hand side, all the expenses are indirect expenses, which means overheads. And these overheads, the amounts are estimated which have to be divided between my production and service departments in the given ratio. So which ratio I have given on the right side. Okay, so this you will have to figure out depending on what they have given in the question. Supervision, time spent, number of employees, direct wages. If time spent is not given, look at number of employees. If number of employees is not given, look at direct wages. Material handling expenses, value of materials consumed. Purchase department expenses, number of purchase orders or value of purchases. Miscellaneous production expenses. So anything miscellaneous will be divided in the ratio of direct wages, like sundries, or if they've said miscellaneous expenses generally for a department, all of those expenses will be divided between all departments in the ratio of direct labor or direct wages. General admin expenses, works cost, correct? Remember yesterday we had done this? Yesterday in that nano gizmo problem, what did we do? How did we charge our administrative overheads? We charged it on the basis of works cost. We took administrative overheads divided by works cost into 100. Correct? That's what they've given here also. Right? Next, personnel department expenses, number of employees. Obviously, because they are handling people. Next, credit department expenses, number of credit sales. Carriage outwards, delivery expenses, value of units sold, weight or distance, whatever they have given in the problem. Advertisement, sales commission, sales. Sales assistant salaries, time devoted for various products. Suppose this is not given, then you can still take sales. If this is not given. Okay, so according to you, whatever is the closest to that particular expense, the basis, you use that. Suppose you are confused about something. So don't use extra brains also. Huh? So when they have clearly given something which is staring right at your face, then don't use extra brains and use something else. Then your answer will go wrong. Okay, so what we generally use and what is generally being used by ICI in all problems, please use that. But suppose something new comes and you get confused, then write a note to that effect, explaining your logic as to why you have written that. Guys, is it okay? So now, all these expenses I will divide. So rent I will divide between all these departments in whatever ratio. Power I will divide, you already know, correct? And then salaries also I will divide. Okay, so I've divided all my expenses. So what is this called? This is called as the primary distribution summary. Primary distribution summary, which means I have apportioned / allocated all my indirect expenses to all the departments. So P1 will have a balance, P2 will have a balance, S1 will have a balance, S2 will have a balance. Okay. Now step 5 and step 6 are very crucial. Okay. Now can you tell me why we are doing this? What is the reason behind doing all this? Step 1, step 2, step 3. So why we are doing this is to figure out what is the cost of my product. Okay, I need to give a quote to the person who's my customer. He has asked me for a quote, correct? Now I know that direct material I can figure out, direct labor I can figure out, direct expenses I can figure out. I get prime cost. Now I need to add overheads to this. How will I add overheads? To add overheads I need to do something. No, that's something you're doing here. Okay, so let's assume one bench. Okay, one bench takes 2 hours in P1 and the same bench takes 3 hours in P2. Okay, does the bench pass through S1 and S2? No. Production is happening only in production departments. Service departments are only in place to support the production departments. So the benches are not passing through the service departments, correct? So the benches are only passing through P1 and P2. In P1 the bench is taking 2 hours. In P2 the bench is taking 3 hours. So I know that. So I know that when it comes to my overheads, from P1 I need to calculate the overheads for 2 hours. And from P2, I need to calculate the overheads for 3 hours. So in order to calculate these overheads, I am doing all this. Once I have my overheads in place, what will happen? I can easily get my total cost. Then to this total cost, I'll add my profit. And then I will show my selling price. So in order to complete my cost sheet, I'm doing all this. It's not simply being done for the heck of it. Okay. So now I know in P1 I need 2 hours. So I need to find out what is the overhead in P1 for those 2 hours. And similarly, in P2 my bench is taking 3 hours. So I need to find out what is the overhead in P2 for those 3 hours. So now let's go back here. I have divided all my expenses between P1, P2, S1 and S2. That is step 4. Now step 5. What is step 5? Reapportionment of overheads. What do you mean by reapportionment of overheads? Guys, reapportionment means, now you know that the benches are not passing through S1 and S2. Benches are only passing through P1 and P2. So now the service departments, whatever overheads are accumulated here, they will give that to the production departments. Why? Because the product is not passing through S1 and S2. The product is only passing through P1 and P2. Okay, so in reapportionment, I have to make this 0. There should be nothing for service departments. Everything will come here. Once that happens, reapportionment is complete. Now, how reapportionment happens depends on the various methods of reapportionment. So once I complete these steps, I will take you through the methods of reapportionment. Then we'll solve the problem. Okay. So for now, you remember that something happens which is called as reapportionment, because of which the balance in my service departments becomes 0. Which means service departments will give away their overheads to production departments. Everything will come here. So now, production departments only show a balance. And this is called as secondary distribution summary. This is after reapportionment. So I have accumulated my overheads for P1. I have accumulated my overheads for P2. Correct? Now what am I supposed to do? I have my total overheads for P1 and P2. But I want for 2 hours how much is it? And I want for 3 hours how much is it? So what do? If I get my overheads per hour, then can I not easily calculate for 2 hours how much will it be and for 3 hours how much will it be? Yes. So let's take hours here. Okay. So let's say the number of hours in P1 is something and in P2 is also something. Correct? So when I divide my total overheads in P1 and P2 by the number of hours, what will I get? I will get my overhead rate per hour, and this is called as absorption. This is called as absorption, which is step 6. So once I get my overhead rate per hour, what will I do? Let's say here I get rupees 2. Let's say here I get rupees 1. Now very easy, no? I can complete my cost sheet. How? 2 into 2, 4 rupees. 3 into 1, 3 rupees. I'll get my total cost. I want a profit of 20%. I'll add 20%. I will say, boss, the benches cost this much. End of story. So we did all this in order to complete our cost sheet. Did you all understand? So collection, classification, allocation, apportionment, then reapportionment, where service departments give away their overheads to production departments. And the last step is absorption. Now for absorption, I just took hours. But for absorption, you have many bases. Okay. Hours itself can be split into 2 types. Direct labor hours, machine hours. So depending on what is asked in the question, you absorb. If the product is passing through the departments, and here, if they have given you, if this was labor hours, for instance, DLH, and if this was machine hours, then here in this department, you absorb in P1 on the basis of direct labor hours, because you need the direct labor hour rate. Correct? And in department P2, we have machine hours here. So you will calculate your overhead rate on the basis of machine hours. So you absorb on the basis of machine hours. So it varies from problem to problem. Guys, okay? Everybody. So usually in our overheads problems, we either use direct labor hours or we use machine hours. Okay? We can also use percentage of direct labor. We can also use percentage of prime cost. We can also use percentage of material cost. These two never use. You never get accurate answers. This we use. Didn't we use this yesterday? We used it yesterday, no? In that nano gizmo problem only we used it. Percentage of direct labor. What? Factory overheads were absorbed on the basis of direct labor. So you calculated the percentage. How? Factory overheads by direct labor into 100. You got the percentage. Then you applied it on the wages. That's what this is. Same thing. So here you've got your overheads. That divided by direct wages into 100, you'll get percentage. Whatever is the direct labor here, apply that percentage there. You'll get the overhead rate. Guys, okay. But what do we use generally for absorption? Either direct labor hours or machine hours. And direct percentage of direct labor is also used, but not in overheads chapter. It is used across other problems. Like yesterday when we solved our cost sheet problem, they had asked us to calculate the overheads based on percentage of direct labor. Correct? But in this particular chapter for absorption, we either use machine hours or we use labor hours. Guys, is this clear to everybody? Sure. So quickly come here. So I have not yet done the methods of reapportionment. We will do it. So see here, absorption. Absorption rate will be total overhead of a cost center divided by total quantum of base. Base could be anything. Usually it is machine hours or direct labor hours. So absorption, overhead absorption is based on percentage of direct material, percentage of direct labor, percentage of prime cost, labor hour rate, machine hour rate. We do not use these two at all. Sorry. We do not use this. We do not use this. They do not yield accurate results. We use this the most and this also. And this can also be used. But in this chapter, most of the problems will use machine hours or direct labor hours. So keep that in mind. So how do you calculate the absorption rate? So when it comes to percentage of direct materials, total overhead into direct material cost into 100. You will get the percentage. Then apply that percentage in your cost sheet. Similarly, percentage of direct labor, yesterday we had done. Total overhead divided by direct labor cost into 100 will get the percentage, and then we apply it on the labor cost. Percentage of prime cost, same way. Total overhead divided by prime cost into 100. But like I said, we don't use this. So we are not going to concentrate on this. Labor hour rate, how do we calculate labor hour rate? Total overheads divided by direct labor hours. So you will get overhead rate per direct labor hour. Correct? And similarly, machine hour rate. How do you calculate machine hour rate? Total overhead divided by machine hours. So what do you get? Overhead rate per machine hour. Guys, okay? So this is how absorption happens. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you how the reapportionment happens. Okay? So one by one. Guys, for reapportionment, okay, reapportionment of overheads, we have the following methods. Okay, actually you don't have to draw it, it's here. See this. So what are the methods for reapportionment? First one, direct redistribution method. This is the easiest. Okay. Next, step method or non-reciprocal method. And the third one is reciprocal method. So in reciprocal method, we have simultaneous equation method, which is the most important. This only will come. Okay. Forget this. repeated redistribution method. Okay, so our focus is going to be on direct method, step method, simultaneous equation method. We are going to solve all these three methods in class. So I've given you problems which will cover all these three methods. Okay, so now what are these methods? So let's see. So P1, P2, S1, S2. Correct? Now we are using direct method. Guys, so in direct method we assume that S1 is not serving S2 and S2 is also not serving S1. Possible, for example, stores department and design department. Stores department also doesn't serve design department. Design department also does not serve stores department. So now these two are not serving each other. So what happens? Now they have to make their overhead balance 0, which means S1 will fully become 0 and give its overheads to P1 and P2 in some ratio. But will it give anything to S2? No, it will not give anything to S2. Similarly, S2 will become 0 and give its overheads to P1 and P2. Will it give anything to S2, S1? No. Can it give anything to itself? No. So they do not give their overheads to each other. That is your direct method. So this is 0, 0. This has balance. So this is your direct method. You can actually make a note of this. Stores and design are examples. You can actually make a small note like this. It will actually help you to revise. You can put P1, P2, S1, S2 and show how they are transferring. Guys, okay. Next, step ladder method. Guys, in step ladder method, we assume that one department serves the other. One department means which department? Service department. Both service departments will serve production departments. I'm not talking about production departments at all. I'm talking about the relationship between the two service departments. So in step method or non-reciprocal method, what happens is S1 serves S2, but S2 does not return the favor. So what happens? P1, P2, S1, S2. So stores and canteen. Canteen department serves the stores. Why? Because stores department ka employees will go to the canteen and eat. But the other way is not possible. Correct? Yes. So now what do we do? So all of them have balances. Correct? So canteen is serving all three. So first canteen will give away its overhead. To whom? P1, P2 and S1. And S1. And this will become 0. Correct? Now S1 will give its overhead. Which overhead? What it had plus what it got. Because the whole thing has to become 0. So now this will become 0. But who will it give? P1, P2 Will it give S1? I mean, will it give S2? No, it will not give S2 because that was the primary foundation of the relationship. One is serving the other is not returning the favor. So this will be nil. Canteen has already become 0. It cannot take any overheads. So now this is nil nil and here you have a balance. This is your step ladder method. And the last method is your reciprocal method. Whichever method you follow, whether you follow repeated redistribution or simultaneous equation, doesn't matter. The concept remains the same. It's just that the way you solve the question changes. Okay. So P1, P2, S1, S2. In reciprocal method, S1 also serves S2. S2 also serves S1. So examples could be canteen and say housekeeping. Canteen serves housekeeping. Housekeeping also serves canteen. It has to be cleaned, right? So both are serving each other. So now what happens? Now you do whatever. You take whichever you want. So S1 will give P1, P2 and S2. S2 and become 0. S2 will also give S1, P1, P2. So this total should be this plus what it's got. That is the challenge to figure out what that total is. Yeah, I'll tell you. So here, first S1 has given off its balance to P1, P2 and S2. Correct? Now this should become 0. But now S2 is going to give what it had plus what it got. It will become 0 and then give P1, P2 and S2. I mean S1. But S1 already became 0, no? Again it's got something. So this, whatever S1 is giving in the first instance only, should be what it had plus what it will get from S2. So that is the challenge. That's what we're supposed to find out. What is the total of S1 and S2? That is how much S1 had, I know. But how much will it get from S2, I don't know. So I have to figure that out. Similarly, what S2 had, we know. But what S2 is going to get from S1 is what we need to figure out. So your simultaneous equation method is all about that. So how that is done, don't worry. Okay, that we will solve. So this becomes, it rather has a balance. This becomes nil. Guys, okay? So this is your simultaneous equation method or reciprocal method. I'm concentrating more on simultaneous because repeated redistribution does not really come. Shall we continue? Shall we move on? You can't say no. That's not an option. Okay. So I have shown you all the steps from step 1 to step 6. We have seen apportionment, how it happens. We have seen the methods of reapportionment. We have also seen absorption. So now we can easily calculate the overhead